What?
I said I've got one too, but I didn't mean a Starbucks story. I meant just my own story to tell.
How do you think people feel about these Starbucks stories that we do?
With our friends that listen to us, I think they actually love it. I think
You like that it's become a thing?
I think that I'm more irritated by us continuing this tradition than our listeners are.
Yeah. I listen to other podcasts all the time, obviously, and they all have these like funny stories. Like, let me tell you about what happened last week, and they're always these super interesting stories. We don't do anything.
Yeah,
all we do is go to Starbucks.
We don't have interesting stories to tell. I'm secretly hoping that
you know what I mean, though.
Yes. Like I'm not fucking Dan Bilzerian who can tell you about getting stem cells in my shoulder while meeting Mel Gibson in Panama. Like there's nothing like that going on. I am secretly hoping that a listener of ours will compile all of our Starbucks stories and maybe in like 3 years just dump them in the lap of a Starbucks executive.
That would be great.
And just be like, look, these guys,
you
owe them a lifetime of coffee because of all the shit that they have drank you have made.
You know who that person could be, who has like the audio editing experience and could legitimately do that?
Eric, Luke, anyone who listens to us that also has a podcast, Ralph Lenardic.
It should definitely be Eric to do it. Like the day he quits and is just like, fuck this place.
Oh, yeah? Here. And then he dumps
He's just always had it in his back pocket. One day he just hands it over to them and then takes his green apron off.
Or he just throws down a Sight and Sound sticker like, listen to this.
Fuck you.
Payback. Except there won't be any of the cussing that you're doing.
But what if he did? What if he's just like, fuck you?
I don't think Brando and everyone at Reed's house back in the day when they didn't know Eric, they used to call him the Gentle Giant.
Oh, really?
And I used to think that was hilarious because we'll talk about it when Brave the Storm does their reunion episode. But I went a long time being in Brave the Storm without actually being friends with those guys. So I remember hanging out with Brando and my childhood friend that looks just like Max Landis, being at his house. And they would refer to my bandmates, it's particularly Eric, as Gentle Giant. I used to think it was the most hilarious thing, even before I knew him. And so years later, I told Eric, I was like, yeah, they used to call you Gentle Giant. Because I thought it was so damn funny.
What was his reaction to that?
Oh, yeah? Why? They didn't even know me. Okay? If they did know you, they'd still call you that because it was accurate.
Yeah.
It's the most accurate profiling of anyone I've ever heard.
Is he still in that band? Is he still touring?
Eric?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. I think he's waiting on the guy.
Oh, okay.
I don't think the guy's doing anything.
Come on, guy. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder what people are up to. Like Cody. I wonder what Cody's doing right now.
Maybe we could have Eric on the show.
Maybe we could.
He's in town right now.
I know.
Right now, he's here.
I don't know if I should address this or not, if I should ask this question, but I will. You can either answer it or you don't. So
okay.
There's a bachelor party going on right now.
Yeah.
You're not included.
No, I'm not.
Many probably would have thought that you, of course, would have been included.
Right.
I went all day wondering, like, is Ryan depressed today? Does he feel left out?
It's weird, but I'm not depressed. I feel left out, but it's because I want to be with the group of friends that are together right now because they haven't been together in quite some time. But it's weird.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad or hurt or anything by it. It's just strange.
Yeah. I don't know. It is strange.
I think you've probably done more thinking about this than I have.
Not really.
Oh, really?
No, I saw.
Well, you were the one that brought it up. I just thought it was curious.
I saw Eric's Instagram story today, and I was like, he doesn't normally do these. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He's doing some stuff today.
Right. It's whatever.
I actually, just one other side note before we get into our Starbucks story. For whatever reason, today, more than any other day, I thought to myself, we've really got to get Patreon up going. Like, I don't know why. Mainly because I thought about how much planning probably does need to go into it. And it's something that we just really do need to sit down and do.
We have been talking about Patreon for months.
I know.
Months.
I'm going to send you some documents tomorrow and some links. I don't know. Why are we talking about this right now? To let people know that it's on the horizon.
Hashtag transparency.
Yeah, there you go. Hashtag transparency.
You want to talk about what's on the horizon before we get into the Starbucks, since we're on the topic?
Well, yeah. I mean, I do think there is a lot that goes into it, mainly because I just want to make sure that whatever we are providing for people, that it's worth whatever they spend. And here's the other thing, too. I was thinking about this. I see a lot of people, on Patreon, the $1 donation is like a thank you. You don't get much from it. That's cool. Then there's a $5 donation. Then there's a $10 donation. Let me tell you, just get hashtag transparency. What I don't feel comfortable doing, I don't feel comfortable charging $10 for a bonus feed of Sight and Sound, because that means that we would value ourselves at the same rate as like Spotify or Netflix. And that just shouldn't be.
I know. I agree.
But if other people do that, and I'm like, really? You think you're worth the same?
Yeah, it's not the same.
The same amount
equivalent.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
I think I would, if there's a way, again, this will be part of the conversation when we have it, is there's a way to just let anyone choose what they want to do. I mean,
yeah, and there's a lot of planning that goes into it.
Yeah,
I think that's the moral of the story. But Starbucks wise,
okay.
Look, guys,
we'll talk more about the horizon here in a minute, I guess.
Look, guys, I don't know what's going on with Starbucks. They were on such a really good run with this whole mobile ordering thing, the whole order on your phone.
Were they? You still had stories.
They've been better. Let me just say that. But the issue of never being able to make the same drink twice has become even more prevalent. They have. You okay over there? You're just coughing.
Sorry, I forgot how to drink.
So on the app, they describe adding heavy cream or milk or whatever as a splash of heavy cream. So I would also describe it whenever I wanted just a teeny tiny amount as adding a splash. So lately I've been just saying add a splash of heavy cream, which is the regular amount. There's also the option for a light splash and a heavy splash or whatever. And for a while, the regular splash was fine. It was the good amount.
Yeah.
And lately, the regular splash has been resulted in me going and picking up a white coffee, which is just not acceptable. So I reduced it to the light splash, and it was fine until I went there, and they might as well have not put anything in there at all. And I'm like, where do I need to go in and legitimately sit down with them and tell them whatever is in between the light and the regular is what I want? Do I need to measure it out for them?
I think you do. And I would love to see this, by the way. Please include me in this.
One other thing that we've come across here lately, and I actually believe this, the Starbucks in my small town and the Starbucks in Frankfurt, you know who doesn't have these problems? Starbucks in bigger cities.
Yeah.
Every time I go to Lexington and get Starbucks, it is a fucking revelation.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Do better, guys. Come on. But I did. It was like, double start. It was double star day on Wednesday.
I think that. No, I didn't know that. I think I've talked about this before too. But it's like I have a fascination with sound guys, people that run sound for bands, because there have been so many times.
Matt Wilson.
Yes, Matt Wilson. There have been so many times where I've been at a show or performed a show, and we've had an issue on stage, and I've thought, why can't this sound guy pick that out? Like, I've just experienced sets of bad sound where it's, and I'm talking about things that I could do, where it's just the fact that if we're talking about a hardcore band that has like a guitarist also has singing parts, just not being able to hear the singing parts.
Right.
Like, and for some reason, there are some sound guys that just never fix that throughout a set. And it's like, if you are a sound person, you should know how to properly mic the guitarist that has clean singing vocals. And that's what I have that same mentality with the barista. It's like that barista, before he puts your white coffee on the counter, should already know before he sets it there that it's unacceptable.
Right. I agree 100%.
So it's just, I don't understand. And the only way that we can fix this is if we sit down, you sit down with this barista, I sit down with this sound guy, and we just hash it out right there and figure out what is going on.
I'm such a regular customer. I go twice a day, every single day, and I feel like I should have that conversation. I think it's about time.
Yeah.
Just speaking real quick,
ask for the manager. Don't have it with.
Go.
Talk to the manager. Don't go straight to the barista because that'll get you nowhere.
Just to touch on your sound thing, it's like a revelation. I feel like in the last 5 or maybe a little bit longer. I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, well, actually, it's been around forever.
Eric's gonna say that?
Yeah, probably. There are more people, I feel like now more than ever, who actually control a lot of their vocal stuff from the stage. Did you know that?
No.
Like, for instance, Justin Vernon and Bon Iver, he said he will legitimately control things going on with his voice from the stage itself.
Oh yeah, I mean there was a little bit of that. I'm mainly talking about just being able to stand in the back of the room.
Yeah, there's nothing somebody on a stage.
Yeah, I was gonna say he can't do that.
From that. Yeah.
But as far as like, it's the same as a guitarist having
Effects,
pedals.
exactly.
I mean, that's not new to me.
Yeah, it's not.
Might be new to some people.
It's not ridiculously new.
Yeah.
If I was going to perform any music, I would be taking that sound mixer down there with me.
Icy Stars singer was doing a little bit of that when I saw him live.
Yeah.
So I know that was
balancing composure, turning the auto tune on and
That's
off.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. For like lines at a time.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I have it's not even a story. I just want to tell you about something that happened on the way here.
Starbucks?
No.
Okay.
I was actually at the red light of a Starbucks.
Okay.
But I'm at a red light and I'm the second car. And I notice in front of me there is a swarm of bees. Bees.
I need to do a bee t-shirt. I just realized that.
There is a swarm of bees surrounding the car in front of me at this red light. And we're in like the city.
Yeah.
So the only thing I could think of is that this car accidentally ran over a beehive. And now this swarm of bees is surrounding this car. And it was just such a weird sight. And because bees were flying past my car.
Yeah.
And then they started moving over towards me. And I started to get freaked out. So I'm looking around. Of course, I could see it through my windshield, but then they were started getting on my windshield. I sprayed my wiper fluid and my windshield wipers, and then they were hitting my driver's side window. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with these bees? And it was also a very long red light. So
do better, red lights.
At first I was like, okay, well, I'm about to be going like 70 miles an hour to get to Jay's house. But then I thought, I thought there's no way these bees are going to catch me. But then I got scared because I thought the bees might just hitch a ride. And they could just sit there in the pocket of my hood and
like the Green Day
just
song.
Wait for me to get out of the car. So I was fearful of that for about 5 to 10 minutes on the way here.
Yeah. The only story I have that's relevant to that, do you ever have random spider webs in your car?
Not that I know of.
Sometimes I'll get in my car and there are cobwebs in it, like that would collect in your home.
We did the spider thing last week.
I know, but it's concerning me. Did you know that I don't park under trees?
No.
Because the spiders can descend upon my car.
No, I did not know that.
One day, I was also at a red light, and I adjusted my driver's side mirror, and a gigantic spider crawled out from behind the mirror. I swear to God.
Oh!
And I was like, fuck this.
Yesterday, I was...
I remember how I killed it. I sat there, and I was, like, maneuvering the mirror until it, like, smushed it. I killed it from my car from the outside. It was, like, in between the mirror. And I, with a little joystick.
Your rear view mirror or the side view?
The side view mirror.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it crawled out.
Why didn't it go away? Why didn't it walk away and prevent to save itself?
Well, it didn't know what was going on. It didn't know how mirrors work.
I figured if you're a spider and you're all of a sudden standing on this ground that's moving, you get the hell out of there.
It was in behind the mirror. It was in behind it. There's like a crack, and it crawled in behind the mirror.
Oh, so you just kept jiggling.
And I adjusted it, and it peeked out. And while it was peeked out, I was like, fuck this. So I like moved it back to where it smushed it in between.
How do you know that it's smushed?
Because it was, I don't know, petrified, like a dead raccoon in the middle of the road in the heat where it swelled up.
I had a weird interaction with a hornet yesterday, or a wasp.
Hornets?
Yeah, I
don't like wasps. What are those things that dangle down? Can those hurt you?
That dangle down?
Yeah.
What things that dangle down?
Wasps fly around. They have little things that hang from their body.
The thorax?
I don't know what it is. It's long. They look like long ass legs. But then I'm afraid that it's like a jellyfish, and if those touch me, it'll hurt me.
Yeah. So, I had to take this metal like cart thing. It's hard to explain. I had to carry this metal container outside of my work. So inside to outside, and I'll have to collapse it and break it down to just make it smaller. And as I'm doing this, I'm moving some parts around, and I just see a wasp sitting on the side of one of the metal bars.
Yeah.
So I carried it through the store and outside, and it didn't move. It just sat there. And then it didn't budge. It didn't go anywhere when I was like messing with what it was sitting on. And usually those things are just flying around.
Yeah, would it have rabies?
It was the most relaxed, chilled out wasp I had ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah?
And I felt bad because I still had to kill it. Because I still had to mess with, what I was dealing with. And I couldn't get anywhere if this wasp wasn't going to move. Like, it would have done me a favor if it was actually flying around. It wouldn't have scared me. But the fact that it was just sitting on a place that I had to eventually touch and move.
It was acting erratic.
So
by being too chilled out.
Yeah, it was fine, but I still had to kill it.
It was an unusual wasp.
I felt bad. So right now it's stuck under a paper towel on the sidewalk because I didn't clean it up.
Let's talk about TV.
TV?
Yeah.
We had to get to what's on the horizon here.
Oh, we're still on that? I thought we jumped off that ship.
Well, it has to go with TV though, because I feel like we haven't done a good job of talking about the fact that Mr. Robot Season 3 is just around the corner.
It is. We still don't even know when we're going to record those episodes. If it's like it was last year when it came on at 10, there ain't no fucking way I'm staying up that late to record.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but
might just happen when it happens.
Maybe we should do some research on when that show's coming on. I don't even know what day of the week it is.
I did watch a interview with Baby Street. Very, very pleasant. Very pleasurable.
Well, good. Oh, did you pleasure yourself to it?
She's on Instagram.
So, Mr. Robot, this has to be my final plug because you have to have time to watch it. If you want to watch Mr. Robot with us, say you've never seen the show before, but you want to hang out with us on Sight and Sound TV, go binge Season 1 and Season 2 on Amazon right now. Download the Amazon app, get Prime, whatever you have to do. Get a trial.
If you don't have Prime, what the hell's wrong with you? Come on.
That's expensive, Jay. It's $100.
It is expensive, but it's worth it.
But you can also pay monthly. They changed that.
Pays for itself.
So definitely check out Mr. Robot because we will be recapping that in the way that we did Game of Thrones and The Leftovers. So there's that. It's like 2 weeks away. October 11th, I think, is when it is. So there's that. The other thing I wanted to throw out there real quick is that Brave the Storm will be doing a reunion podcast. It's going to be the first time that the five of us have been together in a long time. And I know that actually most of our listeners probably don't even know what Brave the Storm is. They certainly don't care about it. So it would mean a lot to me if the Sight and Sound community sort of joined in on the fun. So I figured that I would give them some context before they hear this episode. I'm going to make them care is my point. So I figured I'm going to release Brave the Storm's catalog, our music catalog, on the Sight and Sound YouTube channel. And then you've heard Eric before on this podcast, and you've probably seen everyone else inside the Facebook group, all of my bandmates. But yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know that they'll be seeing Brave the Storm music which is the band that I was a part of for 4 years, and that eventual music episode. That's all I got.
Lots of music being released on Sight and Sound Records.
So I think this is an incredibly fair criticism. Luke Jagger has pointed out that he has no idea what the difference is between this and Separator.
Oh yeah, we're talking about this. Yeah,
I think it's 100% fair.
That's not what he said.
He said he didn't know the difference.
No, that's not what he said. He said that he can tell a significant difference between this and Separator.
Did he?
Yeah, 100%, and that's the point.
I wasn't even. I legitimately thought that's what he said.
Yeah, no, he was saying that he can tell a difference between.
No, he did not. Don't take this the wrong way, but I can't tell a difference between this and Separator.
Well, then I read it wrong. Yeah, that's just strange. Then
I'm with him.
Well, that's fair. I mean, look, I actually said this on my music episode, which people will have heard by now. I was thinking, when does that come out? Oh yeah, it's out already. They're obviously cousins of one another. I mean, legitimately, the way that Separator's music works is Carl records guitars and I do everything else. It won't be like that in the future, but regardless, there are just ideas that I would never in a million years bring to that project. For instance, the drums on that are incredibly more pulled back. We don't have anything. We might have one song that's as chilled out and relaxed as that. There's also just not a focus on rock with that project. I tap in way more to any sort of R&B influence that I have on it. And yeah, I would never. We actually had one song that was going to be on our album that we both agreed it was like, this has no place here at all. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to put some shit out. I have some super old songs I'm going to release too. But yeah, feels good. It's also scary as shit. I don't like promoting my stuff. I don't honestly, I don't like talking about it. Like, I really don't. I think it's self-indulgent, and I don't like.
But you also have the platform, and I think you should tell the people, because
no,
they're like our YouTube subscribers. Sometimes have to wonder, like, why is there original music here? And I think,
well, no, I mean, so to your point,
or who's involved with it in general.
To your point, for the past 5 years, I mean, you've seen how much music I have stored up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for the past 5 years, I've been making music on my own as a cathartic thing. It's also a cathartic thing to put it out into the world. I literally did it as an act of catharsis on my own, to say, you know what, I'm just going to put this out there. People want it, that's fine. Didn't promote it on Facebook. Oh, I did in the Facebook group. I didn't promote it on my personal Facebook, didn't promote it on Instagram. I said one thing on it on Twitter, and yeah, it exists. I have no desire to ever do anything but express myself with the music that I make.
Yeah. Well, I think it's absolutely fair, and we should talk about it any time that kind of thing happens, though, because, I mean, Sight and Sound, it's sort of the unspoken conversation that I don't even really think we've tackled. Maybe we have. That Sight and Sound is very much just a branding of ourselves as well.
Yeah, of course.
It's not just like it's not just the movie reaction, the trailer reaction YouTube channel. It's also pretty much everything Ryan and Jay, if you will, Sight and Sound Productions, if you will, if that makes you feel better about it. So.
And Brando suggested that he wants to know more about it, like behind the scenes stuff. He wants to know how it was recorded, some of the technical aspects of it, what programs they used, what the lyrics are about, and all this stuff. I would have never done that in a million years, except other people were interested in it. So that's cool.
You know, I could film that.
Well, I don't want to film it. I mean, we can film it. I don't have a problem with it. If people want to know, that's fine. We can talk about it. He also suggested that somebody that has a more musical background come on and ask those questions. I said this on the music episode. I'll say it here. I'll extend the offer to you, Brando. If you want to ask me questions on air, we can record it. I have no problem doing that. Yeah, I would never take it upon myself probably to sit here and say, I'm going to force everybody to, here's an explanation about what this song is about. In fact, you might be disappointed about what this song is about in general. So I mean, the short answer is it's legitimately about nothing. So
let's talk about TV.
speaking of about nothing, we got bombarded this week about American Vandal.
This is going to be a lopsided conversation because I haven't seen it yet, but I have received that bombardment as well. So.
Yeah, what's that about? First of all, when did this drop?
2 weeks ago.
Really?
Fridays ago. Yeah.
I mean, I just completely missed it, which honestly shouldn't come as a surprise because sometimes Netflix is just like, hey, this exists upon our entire catalog of what's out. You and I probably obviously should have known about it more than other people.
Yeah, and I'm someone who I'm kind of at the point where I'm craving a new kind of comedy. So when I saw this trailer, like maybe like a month or so ago because they dropped their trailers late in comparison to the release date of all their content, it seems like. So I remember seeing the trailer. I thought nothing of it. Didn't even remember the title because when we got the bombardment, I didn't even connect the dots. Like I had actually seen this trailer. Watched the trailer again. I guess I didn't get excited about it because I know this sounds lame, and the people who have seen the show probably will roll their eyes and say, "Oh, it's so much more than that." But I didn't think it was funny because I just thought it was the same bit as Superbad. The drawing of the dicks, because that's what it's all about.
Sort of, yeah.
And
it's more of a focus. The joke isn't the dicks. The joke is the fact that it is a mockumentary off of this huge, gigantic craze of true crime style things that are going. I mean, that genre is massive.
That's awesome.
The podcast landscape is legitimately saturated with it. That's all Kayla listens to are true crime podcasts. Obviously, Making a Murder was a big thing last year. And I mean, they might as well have their own fucking genre tag on Netflix of this stuff. There's so much of that stuff around, and it's so popular right now. That is not for me. I do not like, you know how there's just some people out there, Marvel movies are just not for them. True crime stuff is not for me. I do not care for it. I do not care about it. Still to this day, I have not watched Making a Murderer because as big and as much traction as that got, it's not for me. So to see a mockumentary about it is funny and is interesting. And captivating to a certain extent. Look, I watched 3 episodes of this so far, and what I will tell you is it is executed very well. The story is interesting. It is humorous, but everybody out there, that the reaction we got on our Facebook, sorry, you guys, you need to relax because
are they freaking out?
Oh my God. This, in my opinion, is all this is a testament of coming off of Game of Thrones high and not having anything to really watch right now.
So they were just reaching for the next thing, whatever's next.
And to support your claim about you never know how I feel, it's good. It's definitely good. There's no issue with that. But let's pump the brakes on, like, everybody was like, you have to watch this. You don't have to watch this. Okay? Here's what I'll say right now. There will be 50,000 of these in the next 10 years.
Yeah. So go outside of yourself a little bit more. Is this something that I will enjoy, though? Because there are times where, how many episodes do you know? How many episodes?
How many episodes have I seen? 3.
No.
Oh.
It exists.
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Okay. Oh. Well, my take with Wet Hot American Summer was I didn't enjoy the most recent, the 10 years later. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the prequel series. But there's also kind of no harm, no foul when it comes to a 30-minute show.
Right.
It's a comedy. It's light, digestible, and it's only a few episodes. So even if I'm just okay, that was fine, I usually just feel fine at the end of it, knowing that I didn't have to give a whole lot of my time to this. So I'm asking you, is it possible that I could feel that way about it? Or can you see me really taking to this type of show?
I can see everybody enjoying this show. Here's what I'll say. I have nothing negative to say about it. at all. Like, I legitimately have no issues with it, no criticisms of it. In fact, the thing that I really do appreciate about it is the joke is how serious they take it.
Okay.
Like, they legitimately do treat it like you would a true crime thing, and uncovering this. There is no point at it where they do something like it is grounded in reality. Like, it really is. Like, they treat it as such. The reactions are sort of there were certain points when I was like, that would never happen. That's too hard to believe. That's too absurd to be comedic.
Overly critiquing this comedy show.
But that's what's smart about it, is that they do really hold true to it, at least in the first 3 episodes that I've seen. Maybe there will be more, but regardless, my only point about it not being, it's good, it's not great. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to change how we look at whatever this is.
Is there anybody interesting in it? Actor wise?
I don't think so. I think there might be later on. I think I saw in the trailer somebody that I recognized. But I think that's part of it too. I promise you, I swear to you, there will be people out there that will think this is real. I swear to God, as ridiculous.
I'm sure it's already happened.
As ridiculous as the scenario is, I guarantee you there will be people out there that think this is real.
Right.
But in terms of quality-wise, in my opinion, way better than Wet Hot American Summer. Way better and more enjoyable even than Arrested Development, the most recent
the Netflix season.
Yeah.
Talk about pump the brakes.
Not as good as Atypical. Atypical is where I draw the line with enjoyment.
Okay. All right. I still feel good about it. So at first, at the beginning of the conversation, I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't even watch this at all, but I'm still going to watch it, I think.
First 3 episodes, I'd probably give each of them a B+ to A- range.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, you can check out American Vandal on Netflix. I do want to talk about something briefly with television, even though it's not a headlining thing. Well, it is everywhere else but here. But at the time that we are recording this, we are actually minutes away from Inhumans premiering. We're recording this on a Friday. So when this comes out on Monday, we won't have actually seen the show. But at the same time, there's been enough negativity that my personal take, I don't care who disagrees with this, I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
I don't. I just don't. But what I want to ask...
People are saying that this is not just worse than Iron Fist, but it is significantly worse than Iron Fist.
Well, even if it wasn't the trash that it is, but if someone came to me and was like, look, obviously we have Scott Buck, the same showrunner, he went over from Iron Fist and Inhumans. If someone just criticized it by saying...
Is that true? I actually didn't know that.
It's the same showrunner.
That's hilarious.
They gave him Inhumans.
Oh my God. I feel like that was some sort of weird inside joke.
Imagine your distaste for this Marvel Netflix series run by Scott Buck. Take away the Netflix aspect of it and give it a network feel with one of the most cheap looking shows I've ever seen in my life. Like, that just is disaster. So if someone just wanted to leave it at, look, if you didn't like Iron Fist, think about what that's like to translate Scott Buck's show into a network drama. It's just not going to be good. I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
But I'm literally hearing rants. It's so awful. The rumor that it's already been canceled for season 2, because I know they filmed the entire thing, so I think they're just going to release the entire season. But at the same time, and this is actually the point that I wanted to discuss real quick, is that how Marvel designs everything that they do, there are no... It's a lot harder to just throw things under the rug.
Right.
Everything is canon. So, like, a lot of people... I've heard people question, like, should they just now turn it into a movie? No.
Yeah, why would you want that?
I don't even think... Like, it's not even a discussion point. The reality is...
They're going to have to retcon the show.
I was like, it's just the reality that they won't. Like, there's no point in speculating because that's not how it works.
Well, it was originally supposed to be a movie, and according to legend, Kevin Feige wanted nothing to do with it.
Right. But that's, I know. Right, exactly.
But I was just reporting
right
to
like
our audience.
the way originally they didn't want it to be a movie, but it's like the hypothetical, like now that we have a horrible show, should we just brush it under the rug and make it a movie? That's not how the Marvel Cinematic Universe works, whether you're in the next Netflix field or not, because that would involve changing the characters out with new actors and just completely ignoring a show that unfortunately exists. You can't just erase Iron Fist. You can just make it better for season 2.
I mean,
and that's what you got.
I don't even know if people even realize, like, just speaking to what you're saying, the implications of keeping things canon and whatnot. I don't even know if everybody knows that Ghost Rider exists in the not the MCU, but in the greater
he does
greater canon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so hilarious to me how we speak with the same unsuredness about Marvel television that we do about the DC EU. Like,
okay.
It's just fascinating to me because it's the legitimate opposite. What they're doing with the CW and the DC universe, they've got it. I mean, love it or hate it, they at least know all of this has to work together in some way, shape, or form. They even have it figured out to a certain extent. Yeah, Supergirl can exist in another dimension and we can cross over whenever we need to. Like, they have it kind of figured out. I just wish, I think we're kind of craving it now for Marvel to just legitimately hit a home run with television.
The only thing that they can do is just introduce another Inhuman character in a movie. Like, this guy comes in, he's an Inhuman.
That dog.
But they're not gonna bring any of those TV actors in. And that might be an unfortunate reality when you talk about the Netflix shows. Like, they're never ever gonna bring in I forgot his name because he's not my Iron Fist. Any other day I could have told you his name. Anyway, they're not gonna. That might be a reality. They're not gonna bring some of these actors, even though those aren't bad actors. But yeah, they're just not gonna pull those people into the movie verse, and it's just gonna be, we're done with it. Like, it's not gonna have a season 2. We're already done with it before it premieres.
Yeah,
Inhumans is no more, and that's the only way it's gonna continue.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think it's an unfortunate set of circumstances. And I said hit a home run. What I should have said is more or less hit a grand slam, because they've hit some quote unquote home runs with Daredevil and whatnot, and a lot of people really did enjoy the Defenders. But yeah, it sucks. It really does suck. We want it to be something that it's probably not.
Yep. Do you want to take a break?
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and then we'll talk movies.
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. If you want to take your love of sight and sound to the next level, head on over to our website, sightsoundpod.com, and check out all of our merch we have available. Throughout the year, we drop entirely new lines with tons of new designs, and every single month we drop monthly exclusive designs that once they're gone for good. Every time you buy merch from sightsoundpod.com, you are not only supporting the show and helping to make it better, but you're going to look great while you're doing it. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, phone covers, wall art, stickers, and more. Get your swag, support the show, and look great while you're doing it.
Okay. So, with movies, does it sound
you sound like such a douchebag. I'm just kidding. The only reason I said it is because on After Schmo, you were like,
I edited it out.
It's auto firing right now.
What is?
That light being on means it's auto firing.
What does that mean?
Doesn't it?
I don't even know what that means.
It means that it's firing on its own without you pushing the button.
Oh shit! I removed that from After Schmo because I thought.
You did?
I thought it was terrible.
I didn't know.
I thought it was awful.
I didn't get a chance to re-listen.
Also took out. Our discussion about Patino and Louisville.
Why?
Because on the way home, I was doing more research.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was talking about it on such a surface level that I didn't think that I had the proper understanding of the entire situation. So I just took it out.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a fine conversation.
It was a fine conversation about amateurism, but I think there's a whole lot more to that. The whole scandal and everything that's going on, because it's on a federal level. And
Right.
I wasn't comfortable doing it. So
Well, we both admitted that he should be. I mean, him being fired and being under investigation is a good. We agreed with that.
yeah. Well, I was more of like, I was speaking mainly about amateurism, but I didn't want people to think that I was like shrugging off the whole thing. But we only talked about a corner.
Did you take out the whole question?
Yeah, I took out everything.
Well, Jesus. Well, then I'll give my recommendation here, and everybody should, if they want better context of that, they should go and watch that Vice documentary called "The End of Amateurism." It is fantastic. Vice in general is fantastic. It's like the only place I get my news, and
you were just so about plugging the
because
Vice documentary.
It's fucking great.
I'm sure it is,
and it's crazy that I watched that legitimately days before this happened, and it's just great perspective.
With movies, something that came out earlier with DCJ. This is not really new because we kind of already had it figured out. But DC acknowledged and officially declared that they have two things going on here with their movies. And so I guess they couldn't conquer the idea of having a movie universe, so they just said, screw those limitations. And so now they're just going to do whatever they want.
Who are they, Fox and X-Men?
Which is fine. I mean, I'm making fun of them purely for just being horribly indecisive and all that kind of stuff. I don't really care that they're going about this because I happen to think, I know a lot of people stress out about, well, movie audiences get this? There's a Flash on TV and there's a Flash. I happen to, even if audiences don't get it, I would prefer that movie studios in general don't treat us like idiots. So if you want to make a Flash movie that is a different Flash, I didn't particularly have an opinion on Ezra Miller because I thought he was nothing when he was announced, so I didn't have an opinion. I didn't get it. But just do it. Like, don't worry about some idiot down the street who can't comprehend that there's a movie and a TV show, Flash.
Yeah.
So I don't care that they're making separate universe. In fact, it's something that Marvel can do. Marvel cornered themselves, and if they wanted to explore our Iron Man with another actor or do Demon in a Bottle, whatever, they can't do that.
Yeah.
So fine, this will be new. We don't have to always compare this to Marvel anymore. And so I'm fine. I'm just kind of glad that we just have this solidification with this.
I mean, people are going to compare it to Marvel, but not a tit for tat like, oh, you're expected to compete on every single level.
And in a way, this could play as a strength to where the conversation is reversed. Now, we could be like, okay, Doctor Strange 2 was fine, but I wish they could do this whole other thing if they just went with how DC is approaching it. Right. And then the conversation could be very different here in a couple of years. So yes, we will have two separate Jokers and probably a new Batman. Yeah. So, but anyway, I just wanted to bring that up briefly, because I'm just glad that it's over with and we can move forward. And even though I really want Ben to be my Batman for as long as possible, yeah. And the DCEU isn't going away, but it's loosened up because they still have a winner in Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman. So her being in the Flash movie, I think that's all going to work out. I mean, they're still going to do that, but they don't have the barriers that they put on themselves. It doesn't have to be like, so there doesn't have to be such a through line with all of these films.
Right.
So I think in a way that's freeing. And so I'm glad that it's over with and we can just look forward to the future.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for Justice League. Loved Wonder Woman, and I'm excited that at least there's a semblance of the fact that they're getting their shit together. But look, I want to tell you something right now, and I'm perturbed, okay? I'm a little bit worried. I'm stressed out because we've got this Blade Runner movie coming up, all right? I'm excited for the Blade Runner movie. I love me some Rai, some Rygo, some Gauze. I love the Gauze. And I love me some Denis V. But I got some information this week, which might have been the worst information that you could have possibly given Jaye Williams about this movie. The first take I heard about this film was from maybe in some way, shape, or form, kind of our friend, Steve Weintraub, is that his name? Frosty?
He's not our friend, but go
He probably doesn't know we exist. But regardless,
ahead.
he gave a take, the first take I heard about this movie on Movie Talk, that you do not have to watch Blade Runner to go see this film, which is now I've seen Blade Runner. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about it other than like major plot points, but I want to see.
You might remember more about Blade Runner, and I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it more recently than you have.
I also have no idea what version of the film I've seen. I have no idea.
Was there narration?
I don't remember. I legitimately I saw this movie in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched it in high school.
Not very memorable for you then.
I mean,
so
I just thought it was slow.
There's a kind of a whole lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Even talking about Blade Runner in general, but also with the fact that we need to preview 2049. I think it's fascinating because earlier last year, I made a bet that Kingsman would do better as a box office movie, which is I still think is going to be the case. But what I find interesting about this new angle that I'm looking at is,
do we have numbers for Kingsman?
I mean, it's doing well.
What did it open up at? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head,
that's
but
fine.
I mean, the only thing that's kind of underwhelming is the Rotten Tomatoes score, which is I think it sits at a 50.
Ooh, yeah.
The new angle that I'm approaching, I think Kingsman's gonna beat it at the box office. I think that we might be living in a world where, for whatever reason, go out to see the Blade Runner sequel before I see the Kingsman, which is strange to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not down on this sequel for some reason. I'm actually very interested in seeing it modernized, if you will. Seeing
what reason? I mean, other than just not being that interested in the first one, what other reasons would you have to be down on it? I mean, I feel like everything has been promising.
I'm just making sure that people don't misconstrue. Like,
Okay.
I'm saying it's gonna be shit. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
Right.
Kingsman makes more sense now. It's
It's more in your
there's
wheelhouse.
been less. Yeah. And I've always said that I just don't get the fascination with Blade Runner beyond its technical achievements. It's just I don't care. I sold it the other day because I just didn't need to have it. Which is funny because now I regret having not watched it before going to see 2049, which is fine. I still like the idea of rewatching it before, I
probably am going to do it.
If there's any way that I can help myself make sure that I can enjoy 2049 as much as I can, I'm fine with sitting down and watching the movie again.
Right.
And I might take the opportunity to watch a different cut than I had previously seen. Maybe that will help me get my juices going. So, but yeah, I just think it's funny because there was a time when I was clamoring that Kingsman 2 would just dominate Blade Runner 2, and I thought that I was going to be rushing out to go see Kingsman and get all excited about it, but we might live in a world where it might win the box office, but it probably isn't going to be the better movie. Because as it's very early for reviews. I don't even know if the official embargo is lifted, but right now it sits at a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is interesting because the original Blade Runner was not accepted that way.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe it's the overtime appreciation for it means that people have opened up to what Blade Runner actually is now. So a lot of interesting things going on here. I think the only thing that makes me not want to go see it is the fact that I have to get ready for a 3-hour event.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me personally, this has so much going for it just in terms of the things that I truly do get excited about with movies and film. I like movies that are more of a psychological deep dive. Not to mention the fact too that it is wrapped up in this overtly stylized science fiction sort of noir take. My biggest takeaway from the initial Blade Runner is that my ability to unenjoy it isn't the fact unenjoy it. No, my inability to enjoy it has nothing to do with the quality of the movie, but for me at least, and I sort of get this from other people, is it it doesn't really hold up in terms of its pacing. I think that's the safest thing to say for
Yeah.
people. I had completely acknowledged that for its time, it was this masterclass in storytelling and in cinematography and just cinema in general. But we talk about it all the time about updating your opinion on things. Recently watched another Ridley Scott film, Alien. I personally don't think I think that movie has similar issues, not as bad as Blade Runner, but again, I love me some Ryan Gosling, but for me, the star of the show is Denis Villeneuve. Villeneuve. I love every single thing this man touches.
He's
And
great.
in my opinion, there is no better director right now to put your stock in than this man. Of course, there's major directors out there that exist. Christopher Nolan, J.J. Abrams, Ryan Johnson. But Denny V, I mean, man, this guy is just crushing it. And he is why I'm going to see this movie.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I get it. I mean, I think if it was anybody else directing it, I wouldn't know what to think.
Do you think that I care at all about a Dune movie?
Yeah.
No, I don't. The answer to that is no.
I thought, didn't you read the book?
No?
Wasn't there a podcast we did where you told me all about
The only thing I know about Dune is
and Jodorowsky's?
Can't talk today. Jodorowsky's.
Oh, I thought I messed it up. Jodorowsky.
I actually think you said it more correct than I did. I just watched a documentary about him making Dune. That's my only context.
You have
of that
strange
film.
viewing habits.
But regardless, I'm a big fan of him. But regardless,
Jodorowsky?
yes. Holy Mountain. Check it out. Weird as shit. Get high. Denny V directing Dune. That interests me.
Yeah.
We took the long way around.
That's fine.
That. Yeah.
So I think mainly what we're doing here is just we're talking about how even though we don't care about the source material and it's not memorable at all, we're still willing to give ourselves to this movie. And I think that you bring up Denny V, and I think
that's what a good director will do.
That speaks volumes.
Look at JJ and Star Trek.
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't give two fucks
Neither
about
did I.
Star Trek, and I still don't.
Yeah.
He didn't. What he did was interesting because he got me to care about his Star Trek, but not Star Trek overall.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you look. I didn't care. As soon as I left that movie, the last thing I was gonna do was like go read more into Star Trek.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for Star Trek.
I tried.
I was there for JJ.
Yeah, I tried and I couldn't.
Yeah. I probably won't buy one thing of Blade Runner merch. There is no way in hell.
It does help a lot that the cinematography is just gorgeous.
Oh.
It's amazing. Like, I think people will be talking about this in the way that they talked about Fury Road. Like, it's just gonna, I think it's gonna be that Fury Road in a way, like come Oscar season.
There are movies that you're right, and I forget about this sometimes, but then I think about it and I get excited about it. just how big of a star cinematography can be. The Matrix. I mean, The Matrix used to give me fucking hard-ons watching that movie, like how just gorgeous it was and how interesting the camera work was.
Oh, they just turned the tent to green.
Well, I mean,
and the wire work and the action.
And creation of bullet time. The creation of Zack Snyder was The Matrix.
I think what's interesting is when you watch the behind the scenes of The
Matrix.
Yeah, there's that shot where the camera rotates around him as he's in midair, paused.
Yeah,
and it's literally just like a string of
thousands,
separate cameras.
Thousands, yeah,
maybe
lots
dozens of cameras that just wrapped around him and took snapshots. And it's just hilarious that even like, what was that, like 15 years ago? Like now someone would just be on a jib and move one camera around.
Yeah.
Like I remember when that was fascinating, like, they used multiple cameras to grab that. It's like, that's nothing now.
Here's the most interesting thing about Blade Runner to me. This is the most, in a weird way, the most crossover appeal I think Denny V has ever had, even more so, I think, than Arrival, just because it has IP status attached to it. I'm very and the fact that Harrison Ford is in it, Ryan Gosling is in it, Jared Leto is in it, Dave Bautista is in it. So much crossover appeal to just general audiences. I am very curious as to how the general audience conversation is around this movie.
Yeah.
This is a film that, I mean, on the surface, I haven't seen it obviously, but I would be willing to say it's probably not going to be for everybody, especially with that runtime you said, 2:45, something like that.
Yeah.
Very interested to see what if people at work go out and see, oh, I like La La Land.
It'll be an interesting gauge, like where we hear a lot of people, we watch a lot of YouTube involving like movie pundits. We hear a lot of praise for Blade Runner, but it'll be interesting to actually gauge like how well this movie does 30, 40 years later, however many years it's been. Came out in the 80s, right? Yeah, I think. So, regardless, another fascinating thing, and this might be the dated conversation because I feel like this might have been the conversation that we would all have when this movie was announced. But at the surface, hearing that, oh, they're going to go back and go black. They didn't go black.
Once you go black, you never go back.
They didn't go black. Didn't see a black person in sight in the trailer. But I think that...
That's not true. Isn't that guy from The Walking Dead in this show? Or in this movie? Or I might be thinking of...
what black guys in The Walking Dead? Oh, there are a couple... There are
so many black people.
T-Bone, is that one of them? That was the one that died in season 1.
Michonne.
You said Guy. That's why I didn't go with Michonne.
There's that guy that has that panther or whatever. The king. I don't know. I don't watch that.
Oh, the Jesus guy that has the tiger.
That show sucks. Take that, Kevin Marks.
So, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I think what's fascinating is that when you hear Blade Runner, they're going to do a sequel. They're going back. Harrison Ford's coming back. You could so easily be like, please. Like just this weekend, they made a Flatliners remake. And I know that's not the same kind of thing, but it's my point is that we live in a world where it's so easy to make fun of and not get excited about them pulling and going back to all of these. Everything right now. It seems that this will be a worthy sequel, maybe an improvement on the material, a great modernization. They're bringing in one of our biggest movie stars in Ryan Gosling to go toe-to-toe with Harrison Ford. It's incredible. It looks like it makes a whole lot of sense. I'm hoping that this will make Hollywood... And again, if it doesn't do well financially, I don't know if it can do this. But I'm hoping the attitude changes about sequelization and going back. And maybe it'll set the standard. Like, look, what we did right here. Blade Runner had no business being a sequel, but we made it work and we killed it. And we got some great actors. I hope that is what we're talking about after it comes out.
My last point that I really want to make with this movie is I get why they did this, but guys, let's take it easy on the marketing for this movie, all right? We know it's coming out. I have seen more like featurettes and specials and like weird interviews for this movie, more so than I've seen for any movie. We haven't even gotten a technically labeled proper trailer for The Last Jedi yet. That first thing that we got was the teaser, even though it was like 2 minutes long. But regardless, I've seen so much shit about this movie. I've never had to stay away from marketing material for an upcoming movie more so than I have for Blade Runner.
So not only do I don't share the same sentiment just because I haven't seen as much.
Really?
I really haven't. Like
every time I go to the Sight and Sound YouTube page, which we share, and I go to the subscriptions, there's always something in that grid from Blade Runner.
So not only do I
Vice did a Blade Runner.
I don't share the same exhaustion because I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. But I do think that it actually, I'm going the other way. I think it needs it.
It definitely needs it. I'm not saying it doesn't. Like I said to start it out, I get it.
I still think, and again, we'll gauge it when it comes to box office, how many people actually wanted this movie. But for me, my opinion of it is if it didn't have the marketing, I don't
Yeah.
know how this is gonna sell.
Okay.
Because it's been so long and it was such a you know.
Let me ask one more question. We haven't seen it. Obviously, it's not out yet. But do you think, especially from the Rotten Tomatoes score, the people involved, all this stuff, do you think this will have any sort of, or they will try to make any sort of attempt or push for Oscar buzz with this film, especially coming off the fact that Denis V, now
I think
Oscar alumnus.
that was my point about Mad Max. I think it's gonna do amazing when it comes to technical stuff.
Yeah.
I think it is going to be the Mad Max of this year when it comes to technical Oscars. And then the cherry on top would just be Oscar worthy performances. But it's hard for me to get there because of the genre angle to it.
Right. We need to see it. I have a Fandango gift card that I've been saving for this movie. Did you know that?
You continue to just shock me on a daily basis.
The things that I'm surprised for. You know what? You cannot catch me in the movie theater to see? Kingsman. There's no way in hell. The Rotten Tomato score is much too low. Needs to at least be at a 90.
Let's pour out a shot for Kingsman 2.
Yeah. Can't wait to catch it on VOD. You want to talk about music?
Okay.
Let's talk about music. So first of all, let me just say this. We could be recording this right now and some crazy news might have dropped. I forgot to tell you this off air. In the middle of me recording my music episode, I was took a break and was looking at my phone, and The Weeknd,
Starboy,
The Weeknd posted these really cryptic blank orange images and changed his profile pic to a blank orange image. And his Instagram story was a very cryptic video of the Marvel title card intro of the flipping comic books. Have no clue what that's about. So, just going to throw that out there as just some random
go
news.
over that again.
Okay. The Weeknd.
Yes.
Changed his profile pic to a blank orange image and then posted 9 orange images on Instagram to make a grid, like one of those bigger photos, but it's just blank orange.
They're all it's
all
one
orange, one color. And then his Instagram story was of like a zoomed in image or video of the Marvel Studios title card intro of the flipping comic books.
Is there any chance he's just watching Guardians of the Galaxy at home?
Well, all of these things together, like if he would have posted that video, I would have been like, okay, he likes comic books, whatever. But this is a combination of all of these things. The only thing I could possibly think of is that maybe, I don't know, maybe we're getting like a Black Panther trailer. Maybe they're going to turn Starboy into, maybe they're going to put out one of those music comics or whatever that they do from time to time. Maybe he's got a new song coming out.
I think it's going to be about comics. I don't think it's going to be like,
I can almost guarantee you whatever happens, if there is any news announced, we will be getting a new song from him, because all of these things together, to me, it screams new song. You don't do this many things without there being some sort of new song. Plus, The Weeknd has been incredibly prolific. He released 2 albums back to back in consecutive years, so we might be having new Weeknd stuff. That's not what this segment is about at all. But I sent you a very interesting article on Billboard this month. On the cover of Billboard magazine is all of Apple Music's collective, the heads of Apple Music, mainly Jimmy Iovine is the head of Apple Music, some other dude, I don't know who he was, and then Zane Lowe, who is a very prominent voice on screen, on mic voice for Apple Music. And this entire article was on the state of music streaming, which Apple, more recently jumped into. It's only been like, I think, almost 2 years now since Apple Music's even been a thing, maybe less than that. But also interesting because it's coming off of the back of business publications coming out and saying and projecting that music is a very lucrative thing right now, which is doesn't it's not that it doesn't make sense, but it's literally been the opposite
Right. Yeah.
story, and that it's projected to be a major business for people. Also coming off the back of that, I don't know if you paid attention to the watch in the previous weeks, but they did a whole thing about how a lot of music business today, one of their main things is to get artists on Spotify playlists. Do you know about this?
No.
It's a huge thing right now. Labels and whatnot are spending a lot of money trying to butter up
Okay.
people who curate these Spotify playlists.
Right.
Because if their artist gets a song on a Spotify playlist, it could legitimately rocket there.
Yeah.
The biggest playlist on Spotify is a playlist called Rap Caviar.
Right.
And I mean, it has like 18 million subscribers to it or something like
Yeah.
that. It's just an interesting time right now.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because as we get into the article, what's his name talks a whole lot about
Jimmy Ivy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He talks a whole lot about, where we are in the state of streaming with music and everything. And he's talking about there has to be more. Like, Apple Music has to be, I assume that they want to pilot us into a new era. They want to be the first to do whatever this is going to be. But he was quoted as saying pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing, that he knows that if Apple Music is going to continue to be a thing, it has to be an improvement on everything that's going on,
right?
And it has to be more. And we've seen it. We talked about Zane Lowe. He's the host of some of the original content.
Yeah,
on
Beats
Apple
One
Music.
Radio. Yeah,
and so I know that they were going to do that as well. But to me, and you can maybe explain this better because you're an Apple user, you know more about this kind of stuff. But I thought that was a separate corner. I thought making original video content isn't the same as making Apple Music the pioneer in streaming.
Well, at Planet of the Apps, their first their first deep dive into at least TV content was hosted on Apple Music. That's how it was distributed. Just to frame this up real quick for other people too, what's interesting about this whole conversation is Apple, them having this sort of state of the union on music streaming with Apple Music is sort of funny because they are not the gold standard for music streaming. Spotify is, but the reason you have the conversation with Apple as opposed to Spotify is, one, Apple obviously is a much bigger company. Also, and they do point this out in the article, Spotify in their business model, they don't really have everything figured out. There's a lot of people talking about how they might be losing money and this and that, but there is much more room for quote unquote growth, I think, with Apple. They have more tools at their disposal.
So another thing that I was sort of fascinated with, and my mind couldn't go anywhere, I just couldn't fathom what else is next with music.
Right.
Like, how do you continue to grow a music streaming service beyond the fact that you just house new artist music?
Yeah.
I mean, what else is there?
And that's a great question. And this is something for anybody that's listening to this that doesn't listen to. It's a great commercial for my music show. I'm the only one on there.
How you doing?
I talk about this a lot on the music show, like what artists need to be doing to grow. And I'm glad that somebody from a business perspective is thinking about this. Look, I'm going to use YouTube as an example. People are confused about what YouTube is. People think YouTube is a video platform. It's a search engine. It just so happens to have videos on it. I mean, at its very core, the thing that they house is Google's search engine algorithm. Apple Music, Spotify are major digital platforms for distribution.
Right.
The next wave is to think past just music. People are there for music. We've seen Spotify incorporate podcasts
and video.
They incorporate video. I've never watched one thing on Spotify. In fact, of the big three, Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music, Spotify might be the worst about incorporating quote unquote original content.
Have you found yourself listening to podcasts via Spotify? And I can't think of. I can't think of any other reason other than original content. Like Spotify needs to come up with their serial. Like,
Yeah.
if they could do that.
And they do have some things that are exclusive to Spotify.
Right. But my other point is that the only reason why I would just listen to podcasts on Spotify is if I just wanted one less app. Like, if I'm always just going to be on Spotify anyway, I'll just listen to all of my podcasts. But all of my podcasts aren't on Spotify yet, so I can't switch over.
And somebody could say the exact same thing for Apple Music, being an Apple Music listener with podcasts being...
So I think the downfall for Apple Music is that they call it Apple Music.
To a certain extent.
They're going to have to change their name again.
I get it. To a certain extent. Look, Apple has always had their foot in the music game. Always. Mm-hmm. For as long... I mean, they changed music, legitimately. I mean, the advent of the iPod, iTunes in general, I mean, all of that stuff. Steve Jobs has always been passionate about music. The thing with Spotify, why I say they're losing, I have subscribed to Tidal for exclusive content beyond music. They did, for example, Jay-Z doesn't do a lot of interviews. He did an interview that I found very interesting that I caught clips of. I subscribed to Tidal for $9.99 for the month in order to watch this exclusive content. They also Tidal took one of the biggest rap and hip hop podcasts off of public RSS feed and exclusively distributes it on Tidal. The production quality for this thing is incredible. The video, beautiful video shot in glorious, probably watching fucking 4K. I mean, it's beautiful. Incredible interviews that you won't see anywhere else. Apple Music.
I've got Collider.
Apple Music distributes, that article talked about Sampha. They distributed a Sampha video, which I love Sampha. That video was nothing. I watched it, was nothing. You also get exclusive distribution. We're still talking about staying inside of music. I've brought this up so many times on my music show. How bad would you want to see some sort of maybe reality-ish show or a documentary, maybe a TV show, a 10-episode thing following Drake around?
You know what I used to love?
That Drake Tonight Show that he wants to do? Host on Apple Music. I'm there.
You know what I used to love?
Yeah.
Is when bands put out studio diaries.
Yes.
Give me more of that. I feel like they don't do that anymore.
Yes.
But that might be my fault because I'm more out of touch.
No, you're right. They're not doing it. They're really
I don't think they do it anymore. And I don't get it.
Especially rock bands, terrible at keeping in touch with their fans. Terrible at it. But I posed this on our Facebook group, streaming exclusive concerts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like something like that. Obviously, Beyonce's Lemonade was one thing. I mean, we're talking about
Linkin Park's thing with Chester.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about upper echelon artists being able to do this. What I gathered from the article, Jimmy Iovine sort of saying, use our platform as a quote unquote social media device to connect with your fans. We're not saying your album can only be heard here, but maybe you do something else that can only be found here.
Yeah.
But what he is doing is he is putting the responsibility in the artist's hands. I mean, they're going to need to fund some of this stuff, of course, and I don't really know what the answer is, but I think the biggest takeaway from the article, and if anybody didn't know this, you just haven't been paying attention, music business, they just don't know. They just don't know what's going on. We talked off air the other day about this and how it might play into other. I'm fascinated by this. The business of pop culture, media distribution. Ever since I was in college, I've been fascinated with it. We talked about it the other day, how it could affect the other two.
Yeah.
TV and movies. TV, and I told you this too, everybody has to look at what happened to music, the downfall of music, as a precursor as to what the internet can do to mediums and what consumer demands can do to it. Fans didn't want to pay $20 for an album anymore they could get for free.
Right.
They also, music was at its most successful before it fell. TV, I don't know how they did it, but they wisened up real quick. They completely circumvented all of that. Do you remember when Hulu first came around?
Yes, I
It
do.
was completely free.
It
Do you remember that?
I do. I remember the commercials with Alec Baldwin talking about having free TV.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, I could just watch this shit.
Yeah, it was like, because I remember there were those like janky sites that you thought were going to give your computer viruses. And it's like, well, they just made a legit version of this. Like, who's funding this? I didn't understand it at all. It was crazy. And it's just interesting because even like Hulu, I remember it kind of going away a little bit, at least for me.
Yeah.
And then when Netflix started to pick up, I remember early Netflix too. Like I remember in Shield's film and TV class, he would pull up Netflix. The library was so thin, and I just remember how like it looked like it had the OS of like a Game Boy or something. Like it's so funny to think about how Netflix used to be.
Do you ever remember anybody coming up to you that just wasn't in this sort of space, in this sort of fandom, and being like, you know what Netflix should do? They should just have every movie and TV show on there. You think? Are you serious?
It's not that simple.
You think they don't want that?
Yeah.
Like, man, if they just had... Yeah, if it was just that easy, fuck boy, get out of here.
It was fascinating to me because I actually got a text from my older sister earlier this week. She texted me and says, do you still have the Netflix, the version of Netflix where you get DVDs in the mail?
Do they still do that?
I think they do, yeah.
I do too.
And I said no. She goes, okay, I have to watch a movie for class. Any idea? It's called this. Do you have any idea how I can get it? And I didn't even have to look it up. I said, rent it on Amazon.
Yeah.
I didn't even look it up. I didn't look up to see if this title was available. I just said, rent it on Amazon. She said, okay, thanks. And like hours later, I went and checked. And sure enough, it was available to rent on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's like I knew the answer before without even having to look it up. So to kind of wrap this all up, well, not the conversation, but to bring it all together.
Yeah.
When I hear things like this, right now, I can't get excited.
Are you talking about the music aspect?
All of it.
Okay.
All of it.
Okay.
Because I'm so comfortable with where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I go to Spotify to listen to whatever music I want. I stream Netflix, sometimes Hulu, sometimes Amazon, HBO to get whatever I want.
Yeah.
I have a hard time dealing with all of these companies changing and evolving, changing what streaming is going to be, because it goes back to what we've talked about, how everyone is trying to dip their hands in this now.
Everybody.
And it's hard for me to get excited as a consumer because, again, I am so comfortable. I'm not going to be acceptable of the next big thing until it's actually here, because every time a new streaming service is announced, I just don't care. I kind of get fed up with it. Josh McCouga on TV Talk made a great point that it's just becoming full circle. Streaming is now just becoming what cable and satellite was.
Yeah, for television.
And as a matter of fact, and he made a great point, and I agree with him, which is funny because 6 years ago, sports and DVR wasn't enough to convince me that I didn't need to cut my cord.
Well, everybody was crying out for a la carte.
I would have cut my cord. Well, sports. Okay, well, for a big game, I'll go to B-dubs.
Right.
That's just where I was.
I mean, I'm like that now with soccer. I literally have it bookmarked. Soccer streams Reddit.
Oh,
That's
really?
how I watch every single game.
Yeah.
Come at me,
it's
FBI.
6 months ago, I didn't care about DVR in sports, but it's getting to the point that cable and satellite could again become the better deal in a year or two, because the amount of streaming services that people will feel pressure to buy. And again, this isn't exactly what Apple Music is talking about, but again, my point is just that everybody's trying to figure it out now.
Yeah. Well,
it's hard for me to get excited about any of it.
The bigger difference, and I mean, just to paint it in black and white, the biggest difference between music and the visual stuff is just because of the fact that technology has advanced so much to where anybody, legitimately anybody, has the capability, if they have the knowledge, to create the same quality of music as Taylor Swift, as Beyonce, if they want to, from the comfort of their own home. It's just true. Are they going to write the same songs? No, I'm not talking about the creative property, but in terms of quality, we're not there yet with video stuff. Could be. 10 years? I don't know. But you're right. The issue is with everybody wanting to dip their hands in it. I'm telling you, man, anytime you disrupt the consumer expectations and the consumer demands, that's when it becomes dangerous. And if I am being, you know, if I have any sort of like futuristic look on things, we are so close to people just saying fuck it, liking the ability to stream things via the internet, but if they don't want to go back to cable and satellite, there's nothing stopping somebody from just saying fuck it, I'll just pirate everything. I mean, that's the true issue. And I think if we want to get into talking about movies, that's the thing that's been the most untouched. Obviously, it's gone through changes and whatnot, and things have gotten better. But I think movies, you know, their box office records are being broken all the time. More movies are making, just because of blockbuster success and franchises, they're making more money than they have in a really, really long time, maybe ever. And I think for me personally, there is a lot of romanticism about the movie theater that I'm curious if whether or not in 5 to 10 years, not every movie, obviously going and seeing a Star Wars, going and seeing your huge blockbusters is always going to be a collective event. But if the option became available for people to watch something in the comfort of their own home, as opposed to go out to the movie theater and all this stuff, I have a hard time thinking that people would just be like, you know what, I'm just going to stay here.
If it gets to the point where it's like a $30 watch a new release in your house right there right now, I think I would prefer to go to the theater.
Of course.
Even then.
Yeah.
But like today.
And you're speaking from you're a massive movie fan.
Yeah.
Do you think any of that has to do with romanticism with it? You value that experience more than somebody like me? I mean, that's an obvious.
I value the experience, but I just don't like. I value the experience, but even just based on price point, because the price point would be like $30 in your. It makes more for families.
That's a good point.
For families, it doesn't. But if I can go see a movie for $10 in the theater versus have it right there right now in my home, the quality will be way better at the theater.
Right.
And it's cheaper. Now, if I have a family, then it might be different. But I don't know. As of right now, I might be a little bit romantic. And I'm not romantic to the point where, like, I think every movie needs to be made on film.
Right.
Like, it's not like a digital. Like, it's just like the experience of getting everybody together to go see it and talk about it afterwards. Like, hearing people's reactions. Like, that's the kind of thing that I like.
I mean, even me, there's still, obviously, there's movies that I will go out and I don't see a lot of movies, but I would say I'm casual, and there are things I really do.
I would say that you are less than casual.
Yeah, maybe to a certain extent.
That's how I view it.
I don't know, man. I mean, there's people.
I still know people.
Like, I go more than my parents, obviously.
I would just say your parents aren't fans of movies. They might be fans of certain movies, but like they're not.
What about Goodman? I've seen most major blockbusters.
I think someone like Goodman will go see a movie if he's asked, and like, because we have another mutual friend that usually gets, they're younger, kind of in a different group, but he usually gets people together. He actually has a movie pass before me. I don't have a movie pass, but sometimes they all go watch a movie together.
Right.
So I think that there are still people who go to the theater regularly, but don't know a lot about movies.
Oh,
like,
of course.
Like the people that used to come in Blockbuster all the time.
Right.
Like, it was one of those things where, like I've told you before, like sometimes I just hate talking about movies with people.
Yeah.
Just because it's not a conversation I can carry with certain knowledge, which is fine. But like the people that used to come into Blockbuster, they were people like that love movies and watch movies regularly, but they also might not have been the most die hard.
Right.
Like it would be the first option for a date. Like, let's watch a movie tonight, but it's like they don't freak out about movies. They don't have to see the next Tom Cruise thing. It's like, in varying degrees.
You touched on a good point, and I think if we're relating it back to what happened with music, one of the barriers that came across was the music industry said, "Oh, okay, so you just want your music online," and Apple put it on iTunes and whatnot, and a lot of people like that, obviously, but most people still said, "I don't know, it's still kind of $9.99 is, I don't know, I can still get this for much cheaper," and people proceeded to steal it. So I think that's a good point. Like, okay, oh, you want your movies at home? $30. Hmm. Well, now you've distributed online. That could increase the chances of piracy. Are people going to say, "Nah, I can get it"? No, I can just get it for free. No, I mean that again, market demands and all of that is going to play a huge part in it. What is the true value of a movie?
Right. I I never complain about how much I have to
Right.
pay. Like if I pre-order a movie that's an RPX and ends up being $15, I have friends that complain about that. But usually I don't think anything of it because I'm usually spending that amount of money on the Star Wars. And so I'm like, yeah, this is worth me giving
Yeah.
for every year I pay $15 for a brand new Star Wars movie. Yes. I have no problem with that.
Right. Well, yeah, and me going to the theater, I don't. When I decide Jaye Williams is going to go see a movie in a movie theater, I've also committed to probably dinner and driving and this
Sure.
and I've said to myself, I'm not going to pay attention to how much money is being spent for this. Um, yeah, so I'm a different case in general. I think the people that really this whole conversation breaks through to more so are the diehard fans. I mean, it's the same with music. You know, then you had music purists that said, "I don't like downloading music because the quality isn't that good," or whatever it is, or "I don't get the artwork." Then you have people saying like, "I like to hold the physical artwork." Like, when's the last time you bought an album on vinyl?
Never.
Exactly. That's like, that's my point.
When was the last time I bought a CD? Oh wow. Maybe freshman year of high school when I bought Young Jeezy's Thug Motivation 101.
When's the last time you bought a box set of a TV show season?
It's been a long time.
Mr. Robot?
Probably
Didn't you buy Mr. Robot?
yeah, but that was for a giveaway.
Oh, okay.
It was a giveaway. It's been a long time since I bought TV too.
Do you still buy movies?
Physically?
Yeah.
It depends. But no, I've mainly switched to digital pretty much.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I
We did all that.
still I love the special features though.
But you know what?
But you can get them
I do
now.
too. Absolutely.
I bought Wonder Woman Ultra HD on Vudu.
I bought Baby Driver. Did you know that? Did you know about Baby Driver?
I didn't know you bought it, but I knew you watched it.
I bought it. Hey, so many great special features.
So I got the Wonder Woman has a ton of special features. As a matter of fact, I think I just figured out what I'm doing tonight.
Hey,
Because
that's something that movies figured out way before music. Music
but it
needs special features.
But it didn't always used to be the case.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%.
a few months ago, I would have bought the Blu-ray over the special
Right.
features. I think they're gonna continue to do that now. So yeah, it was. But there's also the debate. There's no question. It's a better quality with the disc, but
Right.
I sacrificed that.
Right.
So that's not the biggest issue to me.
For convenience, yeah.
I have the internet to withhold a 4K stream. I'm fine with doing the stream than having it physically, as long as I have the special features. So
Yeah.
that's it.
And Apple just announced that if you have 4K Apple TV, that they'll upgrade your HD purchases to 4K, which is really cool. I don't have a 4K TV, so I need to upgrade ASAP. Just to wrap this whole thing up and to bring it back to music. Music needs special features.
Like I said, Studio Diary.
I've always said this too. One of the ways that I really do think that you can help the music industry is go ahead and put different artists on different tiers. Like, it shouldn't. I would be more
A class, B class, C class.
absolutely like, and I've said if you have over like 1.5 million listeners or something like that on Spotify, you should be able to say, I'm going to put my music on Spotify, but it's only going to be exclusive to people that want to pay $1 more a month. $1 more a month, let's say it unlocks
Top 40.
access to your A class for a short period of time, for an exclusive period of time.
It's weird to think about.
It is weird to think about, but look, I love the fact that I can have all music ever, forever and ever for the amount of money that I pay for it.
Yes.
If somebody wants to tell me Drake's More Life will be available to you the second it comes out on Spotify over Apple Music, I'll pay a fucking dollar. Already paid $9.99 to get that access because I'm the diehard.
So
fan.
You think streaming services? Yeah,
there was 1 month where I was subscribed to Apple Music, Spotify, and Tidal.
Right. You think that they should promote add-ons?
100%.
Pay us $1 this month, you get More Life a week early.
Yes, but that money should, because they have the ability to calculate what you're listening to, that money should go to that artist.
Yeah.
It is a shame. It is a shame that I listen to a small fraction of what I do on Spotify, but my music is thrown just into the pool for other people to get.
Right.
I don't think that should be the case.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. But special features with music, what would you like to have?
Again, the studio diaries. I would love to see vocalist record. That was always my favorite part, seeing the vocalist record, and that was honestly what we got the least, I thought, and all this, at least the ones that I used to watch.
Go ahead and throw those shitty lyric videos in there. At least give me the option to be able to experience them in one spot.
Right.
Live performances?
I would say, yeah. Gear up, like, just always film a live performance every year on a tour.
Yeah.
And then be able to release it whenever. Because again, we talked about, like, I would love to see the Chester Bennington thing.
Absolutely.
Is that ever going to be released? We have no idea.
It actually hasn't happened. When we were recording
I'm sorry.
I thought it was happening that night, but it was happening a month. It's happening next month.
Oh, okay.
But yes, to your point, exactly. You know what else? One time Radiohead did this really cool thing. They put out their album In Rainbows, and for New Year's Eve that same year, they did before live streaming was ever a thing. This was 10 years ago. On YouTube, they live streamed them, sort of a live stream, playing the entire album live from front to back. They did a live version of the album with some other stuff in there. I thought that was cool as shit.
Why don't they just this could be a whole other thing, and you've talked about it before, but fucking vlog. Be more accessible.
100%. Yeah.
As artists, not music itself.
The other thing that happened recently, Counterparts, they released one of those like pre-order packages that would have been dumb if you didn't buy it. Like, it's dumb that I didn't buy it. It was like fucking 5 shirts, 3 hoodies, the album on vinyl, the seat. I mean, it was a ridiculous amount of things. That's more old school, obviously, but yeah. I mean, there's so many things that I think they can do, but the artists have just got to do it, man. Get off your fucking asses. I'm looking at you, Balance and Composure. What are you doing?
Say it to Brave the Storm too, so you can incite a comeback.
What would Eric say?
Well, I just don't know how to write music like that anymore. I mean, my head has been in Nashville this whole time, and I just don't know if I can write a metal riff.
If I got that from him, I would just say, just try it. Just
well, he's one of those people that he can't just like set aside time, like the way that writers will do like a 60-minute. Like, I don't know if I follow screenwriters, on Twitter, and some of them just talk about having like a 60-minute sprint where no matter what, they're just gonna write for an hour and then walk away.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that mindset. He's got to be inspired before he can actually write.
Carl and I are hanging out tomorrow to work on music.
Eric just has to wait and experience life for something to come to him.
I get that. I mean, creative people, this will be where I guess we can end it. Creative people sometimes, man, I'll tell you right now, especially in the last few years with designing and working on music, one of the things that I've been doing more of is just playing around, man. Sometimes you stumble upon shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, unintentionally is pretty much what you were just talking about. I mean, sometimes nothing happens, but sometimes awesome shit happens.
I was gonna say, it could just be both.
You
might do better waiting for life to happen to you, but at the same time, that still doesn't mean you can't set aside time to try to figure something out.
Gary Vee said, perfection is nothing more than an excuse.
Is Gary Vee brothers with Denis V?
Where can they find you online?
Guys, you can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at WhatUpSnell. I just put up my movie review of American Made on the Sight and Sound YouTube channel. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because I just realized this entire episode is only half the time of what our last 2 episodes were.
Yeah. Anyway, check out the American Made movie review that I put up on the YouTube channel. And I'll throw another plug out to the movies episode I did last week with Kristen. I just think it's so good. So definitely check that out. We talked about Wind River and a couple other things. Again, I'm going to be putting up Brave the Storm music, and I don't know what form it'll take. I've been wrestling with the idea of just putting up a graphic of lyrics, and I kind of want to just see if I can make a lyric video.
I stepped up the bar with that floating vape going. What was your reaction to seeing that? You kind of looked and you were like,
I was like, oh, interesting. I don't know. I was kind of baffled about the whole thing too, because it was just something you dropped and we hadn't talked about. I was like, okay, well, now my turn.
Exactly.
Game, set, match.
I'm excited about it. Hey, are you going to talk about New Direction Media?
I'm sure you'll be in the room.
Oh, am I?
I'm good.
We'll have to.
I don't know how I'm going to. I don't know how I'm going to do it.
You're going to talk about being label mates with Thwomp in the House of Boo?
No, I'm not. I think I'll write out the skeleton of all the things that we talk about, and I'm just going to hand it to you, and then I'll just let you proctor.
Oh, am I hosting this?
I think it needs like a host, but I don't want you to necessarily ask the questions, because I think the 5 of us will be able to. There's enough of us and enough experiences and things that we'll talk about it. We'll go wherever, but you could just be like, talk to me about this.
Do you have a grander vision than what it could end up being?
I'm expecting this to be like a mini series. Like if we get together, we could talk for like 2 hours.
Yeah. That's the most Ryan Snelling response I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, I've just been thinking a lot about everything there is to talk about. The philosophy of writing music, everyone's background, all of our lives outside of the band itself, our experiences from album to album. Like, there's just a lot of things that we could discuss.
Can I tell you why that's fascinating to me? Just that one statement, philosophy of writing music. I know all of you, with the exception of maybe Anthony, pretty well. Just me thinking about it, all of you have a completely different perception of how that would be. That's hilarious.
Yes.
Being in a band sucks.
Yeah. Anyway, there's just a lot of things that have come up and I want to tackle. And I even toyed with the idea of making track commentary for me and Eric. And I thought that would be cool to insert into the lyric video, which is funny because I think music commentary is kind of lame. But I've only thought it was lame if it was like a separate album when you don't listen to it with the actual song. You just hear commentary 1, commentary 2. That I don't like. I'd rather hear the music in between. So I thought about toying with that idea. So I don't know. You'll see Brave the Storm stuff happen on the YouTube channel. Check it out. Jaye Williams.
You can find me at Starbucks, sitting down and explaining to them how to make their drinks. You can also find me on social media at Jaye Williams, J to the A to the Y to the E on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same for both. Check out the music show if you haven't, or don't. It doesn't matter. Also, watch Mr. Robot, sightsoundpod.com. If you're listening to this on a Monday, we just dropped our fall line. In fact, I still need to work on some more shirt designs, but it exists. Check them out. Some great stuff up there. And go check out my solo song. It's on our YouTube page. It's called Some Life. You got anything else? He's shaking his head. We'll see you guys later. Big kisses. Goodbye.